What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today I've got an Abrams build guide for you. Abrams is a perfect beginner hero if you're just getting started on Deadlock. He has a really straightforward kit that's easy to understand and easy to pick up. I've really enjoyed playing him. He's probably my most frequent played hero. So with all my experience on Abrams, I'm going to deliver it to you in this video, so hopefully you guys can take something from it. And if you guys are enjoying the guide videos, please let me know as I'll start making more. And before we get into this video, guys, if you do like the video, please be sure to give it a like. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. Also, we're live on Twitch most afternoons in the week. Stop by, say hi, it'll be good to see some new faces there. Anyway, let's get into this video. So, let's talk about the advantages of Abrams. Abrams can dominate targets in close range combat. With his straightforward yet powerful kit, he's relatively beginner friendly. So Abrams' passive helps him regain health, so this is great in the early game. Not only does the passive work really good in the early game, it works really great in the late game too. Abrams' crowd control is decent too. He has a great ult, he's got the shoulder charge, and he has a strong melee. So let's talk about the disadvantages of Abrams. He can be easily countered by parries when he's trying to melee, and is also vulnerable to crowd control abilities from the enemy. Abrams struggles against ranged heroes because a lot of his kit means he has to be up close and personal for anything to work. And finally, Abrams' lack of mobility does make him a stationary target, unfortunately, so when he is up in their face in the team fights, he doesn't really have an escape unless you still have the ultimate. So guys, let's talk about Abrams' item progression. Firstly, I like to start with Infernal Resilience. This is his passive. So with his passive, he's going to regenerate a portion of incoming damage over time. So with the first point in this ability, it's going to have plus 1.5 health regen. This is going to benefit you a lot at the start of the game when you really do need health regen. My next talent point is going to be in the shoulder charge. You want to get this as soon as possible because this is a huge part of his kit. What you want to do with the shoulder charge is to collide with the enemy and ideally get them into a wall where it will stun them. If you do collide with an enemy, it does speed up. The third talent point here is going to go into Siphon Life. This is going to drain health from your enemies in front of you while they're in a 10-meter radius. The fourth and final talent point here is going to be your ultimate, Seismic Impact. You're going to leap high up into the air, choose a location to smash into, and when you hit the ground, the enemies are going to be damaged and stunned. This is great for team fights. Now let's talk about Abrams' abilities. The first one we have is Siphon Life. This ability is going to drain health from your enemies while they're in front of you in a 10-meter radius, while also doing 35 damage per second. I recommend only putting 1 point in this early on. It will help sustain you even if you don't plan on maxing it. The first talent point is going to give you a 19-second cooldown. The second talent point is going to give you plus 2 seconds on its duration. And finally, the third talent point is going to give you plus 40 damage per second. Abrams' second ability is called Shoulder Charge. This ability allows you to charge forward. You can also collide with enemies. If you do collide with enemies, it will improve the speed that you're going and also stun them once they're going into a wall. Once they're stunned, it also allows you to get some really good melee damage off. So if you don't use this ability into the wall, it's just going to root them, it's not going to stun them. I think the best way to use this ability is if you can get the enemies up into a wall, stun them, and then use your heavy melee. The first talent point of the ability is going to give you a 19-second cooldown. The second talent point of the ability is going to give you 0.5 seconds duration. And finally, the third talent point is going to give you plus 5.5 weapon damage for 8 seconds after colliding with an enemy. This is great as it allows you to get a few shotgun shots off on your enemy. Abrams' third ability is a passive. This is going to allow him to regenerate a portion of incoming damage over time. The first talent point is going to give you plus 1.5 health regen. I like to start with this item first, as when you're in the early game, it really benefits you. The second talent point is going to give you plus 150 health. The third talent point is going to give you an additional 9% damage regenerated, so a total of 25%. And finally, Abrams' last ability, Seismic Impact. This ability is going to leap him up into the air after a short delay, When you hit the ground, the enemies are going to be stunned in a 9-meter radius, and it's also going to do some damage too. The first talent point in this ability is going to give it a 38-second cooldown. The second talent point is going to enable him to gain 100 max HP and 15% fire rate per hero hit. This lasts 25 seconds. This allows you to get some nice shotgun shots off once you've used your ultimate at a higher fire rate. Abrams' final talent point here will make him become immune to stuns, silence, sleep, root and disarm. This expires 3 seconds after he's used his ultimate. I personally only like putting 2 points in the ultimate to begin with. You don't really need this last point, as I don't see it being that effective. You could also just get away with putting 1 point in and maximising the cooldown. So guys, I'm going to run through some of the items I like to pick up first as playing as Abrams. So Abrams is a beginner friendly hero. He does crave equipment that will improve his sustainability. So anything that has a restorative effect like melee lifesteal or extra regen is going to be a must pick up for Abrams in the early game. I like to build Abrams around his melee and lifesteal. One of his first pickups here is going to be melee charge. So this is going to increase his heavy melee damage, and it's also going to reload your weapon instantly. The next pickup is going to be melee lifesteal. This is going to allow your melee attacks to heal you for 20% of the damage dealt plus 90. So this combined with his melee charge is going to give you a really strong start to the game, and it's going to really utilise Abrams' kit. My next pickup here is going to be extra stamina. This is going to give us plus 11% base health, plus 1 stamina and plus 7% fire rate. And one of the last items I like to pick up here are sprint boots. Since Abrams is one of the slowest characters in the game, he can really use the extra mobility. So we're getting on to mid game now. My next pickup is going to be kinetic dash. So your next dash jump does not cost extra stamina, and you're also going to gain fire rate and bonus ammo, which lasts up to 8 seconds. After that, I like to pick up this thing called point blank. So when you're in a close range target, it gives you weapon damage, and it also puts a movement slow on. I then like to pick up this item called Hunter's Aura. It's going to reduce nearby enemies' bullet resist and fire rate. It's also going to give us plus 14 weapon damage. This item's great if you're laning against a hero like McGinnis, who has a minigun and a high fire rate. I then like to get Enduring Speed. This is going to increase our movement speed, our sprint speed. It's going to give us bonus health and some more health regen too. The best part of this item is its passive ability. It's going to reduce the effect of the enemy slow. Then I like to pick up Healing Booster. So this is going to increase the effectiveness of your healing by 25%. And it's also going to increase your resistance to healing reduction by 15% also. I then like to pick up Duration Extender. So this is going to increase the duration of your abilities and your items. This is also going to give you plus 100 bonus health and plus 1.75 health regen. I then like to pick up Bullet Resist Shredder. This is going to give you 100 bonus health and 5% bullet resist. So this is going to reduce your bullet resist on enemies when you're dealing spirit damage. Lastly, I like to pick up Cold Front. This is going to give you plus 10% spirit resist, and when procced, it's going to give you an ice blast that's going to deal spirit damage, and it's going to slow the target as well. So we're getting into late game now. Here's the top picks I'm going to get for late game. The first pickup is going to be Frenzy. When you're below 40% health, you're going to gain stat bonuses. So it's going to give you 4 meters per second movement speed, plus 40% fire rate, and 45% spirit resist. I like to pick up Siphon Bullets next. So your bullets are going to temporarily steal max HP from your enemies, and your enemies are going to regain the stolen health when their debuff expires. Depending on who's doing the most damage and who you're laning against, I do like to pick up either improved bullet armor or improved spirit armor, so this is very situational. After this, Life Strike is a great pickup. It complements your melee attacks. So when you do attack with a melee, it's going to put a slow on them, and it's also going to heal you for 55% of the melee damage dealt, plus 110. So I should mention, there isn't no particular order you have to pick these late game items up in. It could be very situational, and you may have to get, for example, the suppressor first. If you're playing against someone like McGinnis, who has a minigun and a high fire rate, you might need that passive. You might need the fire rate slow, which is ultimately going to help you out a little bit more than picking up a weapon item first. So here's a quick tip guys, so when reloading you don't actually have to reload your whole mag, you just put one bullet in at a time. So if you needed to get some shots off quick, you don't need to put the whole 9 bullets in. You can just shoot with the 1 in the chamber, unlike many other heroes where you have to reload the whole clip. So if you're finding that your enemy is parrying your melees a lot, here's some quick tips. He's more than likely going to be parrying when you're charging towards him. So this means he's not going to be able to use his parry again for another 5 seconds. As soon as he's parried, move off to the side and then come in for the second melee. He's not going to know it's coming and you'll be able to get around the parry. So this next step, what we're going to do, we're going to dash, jump, and then we use our shoulder charge. This is great against heroes who have a bit of elevated height. It's going to allow us to get up there, get them away from our team, stop their ults, and to help our teammates in the fight. Another great tip not too many people know about is the turret parry. So you can just come up to the turret, parry its hit, and you will take hardly any damage. This works great when you want to dive the turret. You can take the turret damage, your teammate can get the kill. And my last tip here for Abrams, if you are in a sticky situation and you do somehow still have your ultimate, it can be used to disengage and it can get you out of some tricky spots. So, in conclusion, Abrams is a perfect hero for some people who are just starting to play Deadlock. He boasts a balanced kit consisting of self-sustaining abilities and a shotgun that deals massive damage at the close range. Due to his tanky nature and his passive, the health regen, he can also stay alive in the early phase and gather souls a bit better and access better items. His shoulder charge is great creating space and isolating targets. Always do look for the opportunity to engage as a team, or else he could be in a bit of trouble if you've got no one else there to support him. And be sure to always use his heavy melee, as this is the most effective part of his kit. So that's a wrap on the Abrams build guide video, guys. If you did get value from this video, let me know. If you are enjoying the build guide series as well, let me know too, because I will keep making them. I'm aiming to get at least 1 build guide video out a week. If you guys are enjoying the videos, please do smash that like button. It means a lot to me and it will help the video out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video.